Hey, hey.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. Just getting set up.
Not much. Thanks for playing my weird improv stuff last time.
Did you hear that?
Sorry?
Did you hear it? I can't tell who's on the stream.
Yeah, well, it's been a crazy week. Sorry, I listened to it and I took the notes and I had a couple things, including I have friends that want to remix some of my instrumental tracks. So it's just always a question I have of what do I do? Because a lot of times I don't even really know quite how to mix my guitar, make it sound more electronic. So it's just kind of helpful to think about that too.
Yeah, another option is to have Suno style transfer it into a more electronic sounding. It's honestly kind of hard for me to even give advice because I don't quite know what they mean by making it, or what you mean by making it sound more electronic, or I would need more context.
I can actually explain it a little bit. So the best, I have a intro track that I recorded that I tried to make more EDM, but a year ago. And I didn't record it I think it gets faster at the end, so it's a mess when I try to beat sync it right now.
Yeah.
So I have to re-record it, but it's just very reverberating, which means that if everything kind of sounds like it's in one room, or it's flat into a specific kind of effect, or even compressed to that kind of standard.
Yeah.
And side chains, these are all new words. I'm trying to figure out it's like that, and then so having my guitar or we've recorded my violin, it just doesn't match up. It's almost disorienting to bring that into the mix.
Yeah.
And I did talk to a friend about this, where it was sort of if I do a direct input, I've done it with my electric guitar, and I think that's usually a little better. But with my acoustic electric, one of my friends is saying just don't do the direct in, because that's very just has too much reverberation. But just because
that's interesting, because direct in should be completely dead.
It should.
There should be, if it's a mic that's miking the room and the guitar, then there you're getting room sound. If you're just direct in, there should be no reverb. So
there should be no
maybe
reverb,
I'm misunderstanding.
But it sounds weird. It's definitely really boomy though. Actually show you maybe an example of when I did both, and I recorded in a dead room. But one of my friends is saying just point the mic not at the body, but on the, you just call fret, so it doesn't vibrate as much, and do your dead room stuff. And
oh yeah, if you're trying to, hey, what's up? If you're trying to mic a guitar, then microphone placement matters a lot. And generally, you want the cleanest, non-reverberated, non-room sound recording possible, so that they can then go in and add effects and stuff.
Yes. So let's see. This is one of my old ones. Just good settings. Just make sure it's kind of coming out. Okay, cool. That's what I even have on right now. So, okay. We'll take out the EDM stuff, or the electronic stuff first. I'm just trying to see. Okay, so I have my mic guitar and my direct input right now. This is my direct, and of course I have some reverb on it, so that's probably why it's a little vibrating. But that's direct. That's the mic. This is kind of interesting. Together. But you see how it's a little bit more vibe. You have a little bit more reverb. Hey, Mr. Astronaut, look like there in space, but does it feel like to be on top of the
Wait, is that?
That's the direct end. Does it grow so low, you didn't go? I don't know, that was my metronome actually, but and then I thought we're going
There's some massive class music.
I know, I'm just learning.
You can record yourself.
I actually wanted to do that too. I think now I've learned better class, I'm figuring out, but I think you get the idea though, like, but like how would I? I mean, I'm gonna probably record this anyways, but just do the vocals are like a little bit. It's like this and that.
I mean, your mic guitar is definitely brighter.
Yeah.
Your direct guitar is definitely, you know, warmer.
Yeah.
So I mean, combining them, you get a nice full-fledged tone.
Yeah, I think I might keep them together and like keep mixing them. But you see what I mean by like how it kind of feels like, well, almost like not flat. Like maybe I need to like compress it more as I add the electronic stuff too.
Maybe. I mean, there's not a whole lot of variation there anyway. You're also playing an acoustic guitar, so I still am not really sure what you want by more electronic, because it's naturally an acoustic instrument that sounds warm, organic, natural. You know.
So like an example is now
It's
I
perfectly usable in EDM songs.
It is, okay. Because I have a friend who's like a chiptunesy dude, and he wants to like remix. His name's Astro, and so he loves that. I say like, hey, Mr. Astronaut. He's like, oh, I really want to do this. So he wants to like remix this song, but I feel like it's too acoustic for him.
I mean, the way I would just
redo it on the electric.
No, I would. Well, I guess it depends on how he wants to remix it. If he's trying to make a chiptune remix, then no amount of processing is going to make your guitar sound like it's from a video game.
Okay.
Like the way I would do it is like I would use this part as the intro, and then I would like make the drop kind of more electronic, or I would like add in chiptune bleeps and loops on top of your acoustic guitar.
Okay.
The acoustic guitar is really good at doing its thing, which is sounding like an acoustic guitar. And if you really want to like drastically alter the tone, I guess electric guitar would be better because it's like kind of more precise, chimey sort of sound.
Yeah, but I still feel like I tried also my electric, and I don't know. I actually thought this turned out the best. Like, with at least what I have so far, which is just like voice and like a guitar.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like your guitar tone is actually seems perfectly fine to me. Everything's on beat, and I don't like if he wants to remix your track, like here's what you can give him.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Where is everyone?
The G train was like stopping on the track a bunch.
Okay.
Just get off on the cold. It was cold.
Yeah, thanks for all of that too. Like it's just sometimes I feel like I have to like lead people to like they're like, I want to use your song for a thing. I'm like, well, how do I use it? I'm like, I don't know. But like
oh yeah, wait. They want to use your track. It's on them.
Figure it out.
Like, here are the
want
stems.
to use it.
Yeah, here are the stems. You
figure it out.
You're the artist. You're also the artist.
Yeah.
Okay. Val is coming. Assume. So Val, you're not coming in person today. You're on the stream. Who all is on this? How do I use it? I mean, if you tell them what the tempo is and what the key is, and here are the steps, and then it's on them. Well, I know Tyler is coming because I just saw him at Fractal Tech. Val, Philip, and Hannah. Okay, great. let's see. Yeah. So today we are going to basically do some case studies on a couple tracks that I wrote, so y'all can see kind of how to create a overall flow to your track, to add and remove elements to create a narrative arc, and how to pick and choose what what to do with all the elements that you're throwing into your track. Would love to play some demos first if anyone has any. I don't believe I got any submissions though, so maybe I'll start by playing a demo of something I made with Suno Studio last night. Let me just check my email again here real quick. Okay, don't see any demos. I know I sent the email pretty late last night, so no worries if you didn't get to the home play. Oh, wait, sorry, my beat. Oh, okay, Philip's got something. Oh, and so does Michael. Awesome. All right, well, I guess we'll start with those. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. We got Phillips and Michaels. Okay. Annoying Ed. All right. Louise is on their way. Okay. All right. Well. All right. Well, since Philip and Michael are already here, we can get started by playing their demos. So let's start with yours, Michael. All right, here we go. Wait, let me make sure the audio is working. Should be working. Oops. Sorry, hold on. Wrong button. Okay. All right. Nice track. What is this Ed Sheeran sample? Is that an Ed Sheeran sample?
No, it wasn't. Oh, the voice?
Well, definitely not the "fuck you" and "who you came with," but yeah, I guess the voice in the beginning.
It's from the track he did with Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay.
Called "Everything Has Changed."
Everything has changed.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that is he like speaking in that, or is there an acapella part that you pulled out, or he's speaking? Okay. Nice. Yeah, I loved your both the instrumentation and the arrangement and the structure you had in the beginning. It had a nice like flow to it, and I liked how you started off pretty sparse too. You just had the kick drum, the pizzicato strings. You had his voice sample coming in at the right moment. Real simple, straightforward bass. You had these little like turnarounds at the appropriate place in the measures, so that all was good. I think where we would build it to next is to like start adding in some longer bass notes, because it's good to start off sparse, because then you have some room to kind of then fill in with more stuff. It could be like you could add like a good guitar playing, or maybe like some longer bass notes, some chords, something like that. That would be a natural way to progress the energy if you needed to. Like, I guess you have the main melody coming in later. That's what that like synth lead is. Yeah. So if you get to like the pre-chorus of the song, or even in like the second half of the verse, you could start to build that energy by like adding in longer bass notes, or like an arpeggiator or some chords or something.
Right. Just like layer it on like as it loops, or just like even at around the same time.
Yeah, so like when the melody comes in, right? That's fine to keep the background sparse, right? You're just you're adding one element at a time. You don't want to give away the whole give it all away too quickly. But maybe like if the first part of the melody is 8 bars, then you have another 8 bars, maybe because he's singing. That's when you'd like amplify it, and I'll show you like some specific examples tonight when we go over some of those case studies. But like I would say maybe let's play it back a little bit. Actually, let's just play the whole thing again.
About was before the synth came in, like when I was doing the build up.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like when to like take it down and build it up. Like I think you could do that with like an automation or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then also with the gap, like there was like a 1 bar gap before the melody comes in, but the melody comes in on like the and, like 2 ands, so then there wasn't that much of a full bar of just like quiet kind of thing. So
Gotcha.
those were the 2 things I was thinking about, like before the melody came in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with regard to your build up, I noticed you're doing it on the like with the hi-hat kind of sound. Usually the hi-hat is not like a strong enough instrument to do that, but one really nice move you can do, is like on an actual drum kit would be to, if you're like playing on the closed hi-hat, to gradually start lifting your foot off the pedal so the hi-hat rings out more and more. So that could be one way to use the hi-hat to build up the energy. But let's listen to it back again. I'll add some more commentary.
Go, go, go.
Wait, say it again?
Did the voice sample, like chopping it up and like repeating it, did that work? Like, or.
Let me listen for that this time. All right, let's run it back. Yeah, so that like in that second part of the melody, that would be a good time to add some more energy, either with some longer bass notes, some guitar strumming, piano chords, arpeggio, or something like that.
Yeah, all at the same time, or like one.
No. Like pick one or two of those.
Yeah.
Just because it's the second sort of repetition of the theme, so we want to change it up a little bit in some way, and kind of logically we're building towards some kind of drop or some kind of like bigger moment. So yeah, adding in some energy somewhere, with some instrument that you haven't already used yet. I can show you a specific example in the track I'll show y'all. I missed you said like chopping up something.
Oh, like in the first like 10 seconds, like
here somewhere.
Like when I chopped up, like, are you good to go? And then like kind of go like go go go, like with the. Did that work?
Oh yeah. I thought all your vocal chops here are very logical, sound on the beat, like no rough edges there. I thought it was a little unusual. Like here, you brought in the hi-hat and then you sort of pulled back a little bit here.
Yeah.
And then you started building back up.
Yeah, because the hi-hat went from like 8s or 16s, I think 8s, and then before the build up, I took it to quarters and then 8s and 16s.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled it back like 2 bars.
I see.
Before the build up.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I think I wouldn't try to use that instrument to create that build up energy. I'd probably, I don't know, maybe bring in like a snare, or maybe like claps can also be a potential option.
Like louder or higher energy.
Yeah, yeah, and also like the way you're playing the hi hat kind of sounds like a robotic or a machine gun, so we could use like a little bit of a volume variation there. I think like every other one, make it a little quieter. That can help with that.
Like on the MIDI, right?
Yeah. Uh, claps could work here. And then I think as far as like where you would take this next, one thing you could do is kind of like have some kind of impact sound and like get rid of the drums, and then have like some high strings or other ambience, and then maybe some new kind of lead idea. I guess if you're trying to, if it's going to be instrumental the whole way, then I'm just not super familiar with the song. So is this like, this is the verse, right? It's not the chorus.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have thematic material you could draw on for the chorus.
Up to the chorus, and then
the chorus is basically would be your drop, and then you can have it going, full out with all the, like fast closed hi hats and the, full on bass line guitars, or whatever other kind of background instruments you want. And then for the second verse, you would drop all that back to the sparse instrumentation. So this could be a fun thing to plug into Suno and see where it takes it. Because like one thing it's really good at is like taking a small idea and making like a plausible demo, and then you can like take some ideas from there and incorporate them in your own track.
Yeah.
I think the best workflow is this sort of like that I found so far is this sort of like back and forth where you maybe don't even use what audio Suno gives you, but it uses the ideas that it gives you. Yeah, I like this.
I actually really love this track and the layers.
Go ahead.
Would you like chunk it out in like 4-bar? Like when you think about like the 32-bar breakout, like, and you're like thinking about the energy build, like do you usually have like milestones in your head? Like, okay, cool, like this feels too long, like, and that's like usually the 4 or 8-bar where you're like, let's add like another layer, whether that's like the snare clap or like the arpeggiator. Is it usually just based on like a feeling?
Yeah. Well, okay. So usually I'm thinking of like, so every 8 bars, I want to, decide, am I going to increase energy? Am I going to take the energy down? Or am I going to keep the energy the same? And then if let's say my drop is 32 bars, then at 16 bars, I'm thinking I need to do something different to amplify things. And then maybe every 8 bars, I'm like introducing some new element. You could also do it by feel. And I feel like that's probably the most evolved way to do it, if you will. But like I have at least one track where I made the build up 16 bars, and it definitely feels too long. It starts to drag. It's like, come on, get to the point. Just like every 8 bars, or think again in powers of 2, like in a 32 bar drop, at 16 that's going to be a critical point, but then at 24 that's not really as critical, because that's like maybe I'll start to introduce a build up to get out of the drop there, but like 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, like if you think about it in powers of 2, that can be a good way to guidelines. But like 8 bars is sort of your sort of atomic unit of like a component in your song structure. I don't know if that's the best answer, but
yeah, it makes sense. And then creative powers of 2 is you introduce, like just even with the song, you introduce like a lot of things earlier on, and then you kind of let it layer out, and you want to overwhelm to like front load it too much.
Yeah, and another tip is when you add a new element, that's a good opportunity to take a different one out. So you've sort of evolved the track. Now there's this new element in it that the listener is paying attention to. But if you have everything else playing there, then you have less room to go. So you're sort of like, doing a little 3-card Monte sleight of hand, like I'm going to swap this element for that one. Now I both have the listener's attention again, and it's like this new element that's keeping them engaged. and I've given myself some space to grow, to add stuff back into in this new vibe that we're in. Or if you take the bass out for, let's say at the end of a drop, maybe you leave the bass out for like another measure or two, just to, because you've gotten rid of it. So let's take that opportunity to just do something sort of floaty and no bass. And then when we bring the bass back in, it'll be really impactful. I have a song where I did that as well. So yeah, a couple ideas there. Cool. I see Louise is typing.
I did. I was inspired by Tyler to try Lebanon, so it's not something I put into Ableton, but
okay.
I'm curious, like, what the commentary of what it created for when I do put into Ableton.
For sure, we can take a listen. Let's do Philip's track here next. But thanks for the submission, Michael. That's a solid piece of work there. Okay. LTMD demo. Any story behind that acronym or abbreviation? Let's listen. Let's give it a listen. All right. So I think let's see. Wait, sorry, wrong version. Oh, okay. Oh, let's talk more dance. Okay, well, let's listen to it again. That one was a great start, but yeah, let's listen to the more fleshed out version. I don't know how to turn off that autoplay thing. There's got to be a way. Anyway, nice. I love the sample. Great choice for a dance track, of course. I thought you cut it up nicely so that I thought you cut it up nicely so it like gradually told the story as and it lined up rhythmically with each part of the intro there. So good job, positioning, time stretching the elements as needed. Let's see. You say, I think the biggest issue is I want this drop to be side trance like sound, but in Ableton it just sounds much boomier than exported. We could definitely talk about your kick drum definitely has that kind of side trancey quality to it. The issue might be how you have the bass line programmed. Exporting it shouldn't change how it sounds. I'm not even sure what setting you would change to make it sound different when you're exporting.
I sometimes change the sample rate.
You change the sample rate?
Yeah, I don't know why, but like sometimes if I have a lot of stuff going on, I'll make it higher and it'll sound more like what it sounds like in Ableton and MP3.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you might consider exporting at a higher sample rate. You might not be able to play it back on all systems if it's if it's at like 192 kilohertz, let's say, or 96. But if it's sounding like a lot boomier when you export it, I don't think changing the sample rate would fix that. I do like how you had I liked your drums at the beginning and like your drum loop, and you had like some extra kind of offbeat percussion in there. That sounded really nice. I think we could probably bring up the volume. I think we could probably bring up the volume of the vocal. Yeah, 48 kilohertz, 48 kilohertz should be fine. 44.1 kilohertz is CD quality audio. We can listen to it again here. Another thing I like too is you have your bass like heavily filtered at the beginning, so that's a nice way to like start off more subdued, and then you like gradually open up the filter as the drop progresses, or as the buildup progresses towards the drop. Around here, you had the like closed hi-hats building up, and then you pulled them out and you switched to like a snare buildup, which I thought sounded a little confusing. Like you got a little off track there halfway through. I was kind of expecting maybe the kick drum to start showing up there, or like the hi-hats to continue, or maybe you start adding in like a similarly fast snare roll to amplify the hi-hat buildup. But it seems like you like the hi-hats kind of just stopped, and then you started introducing this other buildup element. So that could be something to smooth out. Another option too, I like how you bring the kick back in here for the drop. Another option, if you want to use it in the buildup, is to put a low pass filter on it, so it's like take out the highs, so it's like kind of like subterranean, and then you like gradually open it up, and then drop the hammer on us on the drop. Oh, interesting. So use Suno to get the vocals. Interesting.
How is Suno different than 11 Labs again?
Question is, how is Suno different from 11 Labs? Suno is more for creating songs, but they do have, and as part of that, they have the capability to generate vocals. 11 Labs is more for generating speech, like spoken word speech, and they have a lot of different character voices for that. Yeah, I'm actually curious as to, wait, because you said you were inspired to try 11 Labs.
Oh yeah, so I used 11 Labs and I downloaded that today, but I haven't used Suno yet.
Okay. Oh, okay. 11 Labs does have a music generator. Okay. I guess I'm not surprised. They already have like, all this technology for generating.
Yeah, so it was like, do I also need to download Suno, or can I just have 11 Labs?
No, you have taught me something today, which is that 11 Labs is coming for Suno's bag. Interesting. Okay. Wait. Okay. Suno series raised. What series of funding are they on? Suno has raised a series B. Okay, and then 11 Labs. I feel like they're on series C. Yeah, series C. Okay. So I guess in terms of funding, they're about twice as twice as big.
So that means 11 labs is better?
Does that mean 11 labs is better? Well, it means they're more funded, and I think they've been in the game for a little bit longer. Let's see. Suno made pretty boring songs, but the vocals are more sing-songy than 11 labs. I'm actually a little surprised that 11 labs would dip into music. It seems like it might be spreading their focus around, but I'd be curious to know what their strategy is here. But okay, now I really want to hear your tune. Okay, but Philip used. So I mean, clearly, yeah, Suno can do spoken word too. So Suno made pretty good vocals more sing-song. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So again, Philip, I think your track is onto something. I think you need to maybe just like bring up the main vocal a little bit. Fix that little space. Fix that bit in the middle of your build-up. Either keep going with the hi-hats and add a snare, or maybe like a subdued kick or something. You also might consider pulling out the bass line right before the drop too, so that way when the drop hits, it's more impactful to bring the bass back in. So yeah, I'd probably let the vocal kind of fill in that space where you go dance, 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 and then you could maybe have some clap with a long reverb tail that spills over into the drop, or some other kind of like ambient element that then leads into the drop. That could be something, but yeah, I would probably take out the rolling bass line just for that one measure, and then when it comes back in, it'll be like super powerful. But I can also show. I'll build a quick rolling bass line for Psytrance once we get into Ableton here in a second. But nice work. Yeah, I think let's talk more like this. Thematically, you've got a great story that you're telling here already. So that's like half the battle, at least. Yeah, excited to see where else you take this. Also, Tyler, do you have a demo to share?
No, it's not finished.
Not finished. Okay. No worries. All right, let's listen to Louise. Techno Ice Cream Dreams. Here we go.
In a Brooklyn kitchen, flavors intertwine, 3 hearts beating in perfect time. Smoke through vanilla, taste the fire, fresh new ripple takes us higher. Intertwine.
All right.
How do I change the title once it's?
How do you change the title? Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, you should be able to just edit it.
Edit somewhere. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Nice idea. I like how it's got this kind of like Alan Watts kind of tropical vibe to it, and I like how the drop is basically like you change up the beat, you make you bring in some like fast hi-hats, you take the filter off the kick drum, like all great things for like amplifying the energy and switching it up. You'll notice like in the beginning they use this really heavily filtered version of the vocal, so it kind of sounds like it's far away and like kind of primordial. I like this framing for how to start off a song. It's like you're like the chaotic ooze and muck of sound all around us. We're drawing from that, and it's gradually like coming together and taking shape and forming into something visible, and like going from this sort of formless chaos into a like structured song. And this intro is like an on-ramp to that. I think that's a really useful concept to apply to making an intro. It's like, okay, if I have this like really strong idea for, let's say, the verse, how can I sort of decompose that or make it blurrier, muddier, the more ephemeral, and then that is the basis of the intro. So did you like?
It was all 11 labs. I didn't do anything. I told it like a couple things. At first, it had like a really like dungeony male voice, and it was like, oh no, make it more like rich female voice, ephemeral, and more airy.
Did you give it the lyrics? Did you write the lyrics, or?
I told it, write a song about 3 friends making unique ice creams in a kitchen. They like to experiment with food, connect, and learn music. Some of the ice cream we are experimenting with include a smoked vanilla ice cream and a fresh mint ice cream. So that's where it came up with smoke the vanilla, taste the fire. Fresh mint ripple takes us higher.
Oh, that is good. Okay. Bars.
So I gave it the idea, and then I was like, oh, these are like some really good lines. And then the first iteration had like way too many words and like a chorus like I didn't really care about, and words and like the bridge and drop, and I was like, no, less words, like use the part of the chorus that's like the catchy like phrase.
Okay, so you can give it feedback in between generations?
Yeah, so I gave it feedback in between generations, and then so that's why it has more of the like la la la, like ooh noises, because it was like less words.
Hua hua. Okay. Nice. All right. I mean, based on that demo, I feel like 11 Labs can compete with Suno at the very least.
Tyler, the Egyptian one you made, was that also all 11 Labs?
No, that was all Suno, actually.
Oh, it was all Suno.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I feel like I should play a demo I made in Suno then. So just to tell you my workflow, like, so I made 8 bars with like kind of this call and response structure to it. Sounds like this. Sorry. Okay, so that's part of it. I don't know why it stopped there. But anyway, okay, so I have that, and then I think my favorite one was this one here. There's a couple different modes. There's like extend, where it's just supposed to take your audio and extend it in both directions. There's also cover, where I guess it adds more of its own creative twists onto it, and you can like change up the genre. But I prompted this with 128 beats per minute, tech house, dark, melodic, ambient, atmospheric, something like that, which was already what I was kind of going for. And I had to do these 4 generations, and so what I would then do is like take the different arrangement ideas that I like from each one, and maybe some of the different timbres that it generates, and then I would continue building the track myself manually, and then probably when I got to a point where I'm stuck, I would throw it back into Suno and be like, okay, what do you got? All right, I hope that turns it off. But, this is the one I like the most, so there we go. Okay. goes on a bit after there. So one thing to point out is that it really recycles the material that you give it. So, it was, I threw that loop together really quickly, so I didn't create a lot of variations. So it just kind of ends up repeating mostly what it already knows. So one way to get more juice out of it is to spend a little bit more time, like adding some interesting variations to the loop.
Did you have different prompts for each track here, or were they?
I kept the same prompt. So Suno will generate 2 generations for each prompt by default. And so I used the same prompt in both cases, but in one I used the cover mode, and in the other I used the extend mode. So I think extend is supposed to preserve more of the initial characteristics of the beat that you give it, whereas I don't know, I'll play this example. Maybe this one? I don't know. Anyway, but you can hear how it gets a lot of stuff right, but then other stuff it just sort of flubs and it's blurry and it's not as powerful. Like the dun 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 dun, dun thing could have been more assertive in this second example. But Pyle, you liked how it was kind of darker, bassier, heavier. So these are all ideas that I can take and then apply to my own track, and I won't make it. It has this tendency to fall off in weird ways, even though in general it does produce a pretty listenable track. So
you're able to download it into Ableton with the separated pieces, though, right?
No, you can. So it has a stem splitter.
Oh, okay. Oh, stem splitter.
Stem splitter, yeah, or extractor, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But yeah, so you could then take the individual pieces if you do want to reuse parts of it.
And you can import that into Ableton.
Yeah, so I could download all these. Let's say.
And do you use the free version, or are you using a?
Suno Studio is paid, so there's no free version.
Oh, okay.
Is 11 Labs free?
No, 11 Labs is paid, but when I was on Suno just now, it looks like there's a free plan. So
oh yeah, I don't think the free plan gives you access to Studio. Yeah, so the access to Studio from your plan.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which I guess makes sense. So that is one differentiator with them and 11 Labs is that Suno's building out a proper studio.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess 11 Labs is still just prompted and here's the whole song and do with that what you will.
I was looking at the song/data ownership.
Do what?
Look at data ownership or audio file ownership for both of them and compare it to free.
Yeah.
I think Suno owns use the free version. I just looked it up because I was about to upload one of my songs, and they're we own everything you upload pretty much in the free version, but if you pay,
Ooh, good. Yeah, Pyle raises a good point about licensing. If you're using these tools and you're uploading, entire tracks, they might claim ownership of them. So, because another reason to only give them snippets, garbage, whatever. Or, you know, not garbage. If you give it garbage, then it's not going to do much with it. Garbage in, garbage out, you know. Yeah, so if I have my stems here, I guess I have to extract them first. Hold on. Studio selection. Drag those in.
Okay, so at least the AI answer is if you own the audio outfit generated using 11 Labs.
Okay, it says 11. You own the audio generated by 11 Labs.
I feel like I need to look at the actual 11 Labs term.
So yeah, you know, you can use all these stems. Another interesting thing you can do is, like, let's say I like this synth line here at the beginning. So I'll take that out. You can right click and you can say convert melody to new MIDI track. So now I can take the notes that Suno generated and I get MIDI from that, and now I can throw in my own sound. You know, so here it's like, you know, sounds bad, but you know, if I make my
Or like the Suno one sounds so much more like smoother.
well, Ableton is just throwing on some default patch here to, you know, to play the notes for you.
Yeah.
So if I put in my own like cute little plucky sound, like I don't know, I think this lead, I think maybe pluck. Hold on, I feel like this autumn pluck was a good one. No, I was wrong. It's not a good one.
Serum, like what's it called?
Vital.
Vital.
Serum is like Vital. It's like Vital's a free clone of Serum, and Serum 2 is like, you know, one of the best synths on the market. It costs about $200, but it's good. No, that sounds terrible too. What the hell? No. There we go. Just a nice little pluck. Okay, now. Wait, why is... wait, what? Huh. Okay, hold on. Let me just... Are all these, you know, increase the velocity. Yeah, let me just swap this out. Okay. Huh? Oh. Okay, so it sounds a little better. Sorry. Okay, so anyway, so I would, you know, now I have the MIDI notes. Now I can do whatever I want with them. Actually, I guess probably the easiest way is just to delete this default thing it gave me and then just throw in my own Serum. So. Add my own effects and so on. So yeah, so that's another way you can extend or reuse the material that you get from Suno or whatever, you know, other audio generation tool you like. Let's see. Oh, Kyle dropped in the 11 Labs terms of use. Nice. I think you can also do some interesting things with the drums here. So here's our drum loop. I mean, honestly, this is already pretty usable in and of itself. But you can also right-click on audio, and you can say convert drums to new MIDI track. So I think it's pretty good about getting, like, separating the individual instruments. So now Sorry, what?
It identified like which drum it was to.
Yeah, it did a pretty good job of that, right?
Yeah.
And you can just like map your own.
Sorry. Yeah, and then I would, replace the kick with something meaningful. It kind of screwed up here, I think. I don't think the kick is hitting this much. But I can now, change this to 1/16, and I can quantize everything. Might have to slide it over too, but there we go. I don't know why the volume of why it got confused about the volume, but so yeah, so it can do drums, it can do melodies. Yeah. Sorry, did you have a question, Rishabh? Or
I'm just curious, like how does it extract like that kind of information?
Like what the algorithm is? Yeah, very good question.
Pre-AI stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is Ableton 12, so they might have AI now, but also it might just be sort of like a parameterized model. Like, okay, if this is drums, then I'm gonna like detect. Ableton's good at detecting transients, and it can tell like where in the frequency range the transient is, and so it can like assign. And maybe you can also like fingerprint different regions of it. I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see the code for how they do it. What the hell? Okay. So that's all the demos. Let's see. I know we had a couple questions before I get into the case study here. Let's see. Well, I know, Pal, you wanted to basically look at... Oh, thank you, Michael.
Yeah, the Ableton files.
Yeah, so we'll get into that. Michael, you also said you wanted to go over sidechaining again, and also how to keep learning about plugins and other tricks, sound design, etc.
Yeah.
I'll answer the second one first. So the way I did it was I basically just watched a bunch of YouTube videos. So some artists I like that do a really good job are like AU5. He's got some like really great sound design tutorials. He like gets really deep into the synths and knows how to like use all their crazy like all the different like advanced features and stuff. But here is AU5 has got some really great content there. I also like Underbelly. You suck at producing. This guy covers maybe more like.
Hi, I'm Under.
This guy's got like a ton of different tutorials. Maybe some of them aren't as much about like sound design specifically. Are you trying to like program new sounds from scratch, or just anything in terms of
More
getting
just like effects and like stuff like the evolution sound or build-ups or different like types of knowing more generally.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like you suck at. I definitely watch a lot of this guy's content. Let's see, who's the guy that did like snake oil? Not this guy. This guy. Okay. White Sea Studio. If you want to specifically learn about plugins, then I think White Sea Studio is a good resource for that. Let's see. Plugin reviews. Yeah, here we go. So this can just get you some exposure to like what else is out there. Let's see. Moonboy, kind of more bass oriented producer. Let's see if he has his how to series. I wonder if he's got a playlist. Producing with Moonboy. This looks like maybe pretty comprehensive.
Yo, what's up, guy?
Yeah, so this guy's really good as well. Let's see. I feel like there's one more person I was thinking of. I mean, Andrew Hung. maybe he does a lot of different stuff with music though. So I don't know if I can. He's potentially a good resource though to look at. But yeah, I would be like, I'd basically start watching like maybe some tutorials from these cats, and then they have their own interesting ideas and approaches, and they've made a lot more of them than I have. So I've definitely learned a bunch of different tricks from them. Mr. Bill, he's another great producer. I mean, he's like also knows a lot of like really advanced features of different sense. I mean, he's got stuff going back to Ableton 8. So, he's a good channel too. Okay, so that's a bunch that you can check out. And then so you wanted to review sidechaining again. So, and maybe like talk about what it is in general. Yeah, Andrew Hung makes all these really cool songs out of like sampling random instruments. It's pretty cool stuff. Let me make a new project here. So we've talked a lot about sidechaining the kick to the bass, but let me show you another application of it just to give you another perspective on it. But fundamentally what it is you are triggering an effect with an audio signal that's not the audio signal that the effect is modifying. So when we talk about sidechaining the kick to the bass using a compressor, the compressor is the effect. It's changing the sound of the bass, but it's getting its marching orders from the kick drum. So the kick drum is sidechained to the bass. Another interesting application of it is on lead sound. So like oftentimes in trance, you want like a really massive ambient reverb delay tail on your lead sound to give this like epic sort of ambience and sweep, but you want the lead to come across really clear whenever you play a note. So the idea here is we're going to sidechain the lead to the reverb and delay effects that are affecting the lead. So let's say I'll take like simple sawtooth wave. Cool. And maybe we'll make it even like something like that. So then I want a delay, and then I want like reverb. And so if I just have the delay and reverb, it's going to sound really muddy. Can't even really tell what the lead is doing. So what we want to do is we want the delay and reverb to like go away anytime we play a note, and then they like swoosh back in. So we're gonna group these together, and then we're going to add a dry. We're using this audio effects rack to make a copy of the signal. So one is going to go to the delay and reverb. One is going to be dry, and so that way, we can always have our like, clear lead, but we still need to make all the other stuff get out of the way. So we'll put a compressor here at the end, and then we'll turn on the sidechain. So click this little icon here, and then our source. So right now the source is just the delay and reverb signal going into the compressor itself, but we want it to be triggered from the let's see serum 2, and we want the pre-effects chain. So we want the dry. Call it dry. We want the dry signal to trigger the compressor. So, and then we need the compressor to turn on when, or we need to lower the threshold so that when the input from the dry signal is loud enough, it will cause the volume of the delay and reverb to drop. So lower the threshold. So you hear how it's like every note that I play is like coming through crystal clear, but then afterwards it kind of like swoops in with this long, reverb tail. So we can like really crank this up. So usually we do something like this. We turn feedback up. Heck, we don't even need any dry delay signal because we've got our original signal on its own chain, so we can turn the delay all the way up. Maybe we'll increase this a bit more. So it's a terrible trancy lead. That sounds bad. Let's see. In fact, actually, we probably need to clear it a bit more. So. So yeah, so now I have like nice clear lead. I can turn up the release if I want to make it swoop in a little bit more. Yeah, so I think maybe you get the idea. So this is the same thing we did with the kick and the bass. I want the bass signal to get out of the way when the kick hits, and similarly, I want the ambient reverb tail to get out of the way when my lead comes in.
So the way you set it up is you like grab the effects, you group them, and then you grab like the compressor and set initials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I start by adding the delay and reverb. This. Then you can select them both by holding down Shift and clicking them both. And then you press Control G to group them, and that gives you your audio rack. And then in here you can add another chain by right-clicking and saying Create Chain. Now that's your dry. And then in the just rename it for clarity. And then at the end of the delay reverb side of the chain, I put the compressor. I don't put it outside because then it's gonna also compress my dry signal. I don't want that. I just want to compress the delay reverb. So I put that out, and then open up the sidechain menu here. I don't know why the button says external, but okay, external, and then change the source to. I got to figure. So the track I'm on is called 56 Serum 2. So whatever, and then I make sure to select the dry chaining in pre-effects mode. Or I guess you could even do the whole thing pre-effects because even before we get to the audio rack, it's dry, right? So that should also work. And then you have to lower the threshold so it like ducks it.
And so compressor is always the thing you use to sidechain?
For this application, yes. If we're talking about sidechaining the volume of a signal, then yeah, you would use the compressor. But the filter also has a sidechain on it. Actually, a lot of effects in Ableton have a sidechain input, which is kind of interesting. Let's see. I'm not even quite sure what this will do, so let's find out. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I was expecting it to like, I don't know, trigger the filter when it. Yeah, so I'm not sure what exactly the sidechaining the filter does. Maybe we could look it up real quick. Sidechain filter. MIDI map, the gain knob. Right. But what is the application of this? Interesting research question. why would we like sidechain this? I think there's like a auto. Yeah, I don't know. I typically only use the compressor for sidechaining.
You normally reverb and delay, or you can do it on other effects as well.
Yeah, you could do it. You could use it on anything that has a volume component to it. I mean, delay and reverb, tend to ring out. So I don't think there are any other major like time-based effects that where it would make sense to do it. Echo, but that's basically just delay again. Yeah, I feel like you would pretty much only use it for delay and reverb type of effects, but there could be some other time-based ones where it makes sense. I don't know. There's also something called an envelope follower, which is a MIDI effect, I think. But this, you can use the amplitude of a signal to trigger something else. So if you just have like a random audio sample, you can use the envelope follower to make some I wonder if I have my example set. You can use the volume of a signal to trigger other parameters. Signal follower? No, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure I have it handy. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have this handy, but you could yeah, no, I won't show it since it's not sidechaining. I won't show it, but yeah. Also, in the interest of time, I'll move on. But you feel like you understand what sidechaining is a little bit better now? Okay, great. Cool. So I'm gonna pull up my. Let's see, just checking in on the live stream. Oh, thank you, Doc Frequency, for the stuff. Thanks.
We might cover it, but I added things like automation tricks, improve the feed, also good to review when we're going through projects.
Yeah, I'll show you some of the automations I use in the track. Okay, so let's start. So I'll first. Wait, where's the project for it? Maybe I called it like Gaga or something. Whoa. Go up here. Wait, window F no longer lets you search for files? Okay. Okay, sorry. I promise I'm more organized than this when I'm actually producing tracks. Okay. No, that's not. Okay, Ableton projects. Here we go. Okay. Okay. And then application. Okay, I think this should be what I want. Do not save. Studio One Ableton. Okay. I'm not sure I quite understand what your question is, Doc Frequency, but if you want to ask it in different words, I'm happy to try to answer it. Okay. This is a pretty big project, so it might take a second to load here. But this is a track I made with actually a student from my very first iteration of this class. So that was a lot of fun. He brought me this interview with Lady Gaga, where she's like they're asking her questions, and she's like clapping back at them, like, "You never say that to a man." So we thought it was like nice, empowering anthem to sample. And he also had like a couple basic loops to get started, so that's what we built upon. So let's see, how do I want to do this? So I'm going to bring in you heard that crackling, right? It's because there's a effect on here on one of these channels called like TV static. Is it this one? Foley. Okay. Yeah, I thought I had the. All right, because yeah, so it doesn't turn on if I put it right in the intro. So maybe the first thing I'll point out is you can see how I've annotated a lot of the different sections of the track, right? I have the intro, then there's like a verse, which is really like, you know, Lady Gaga talking, and then I have like the build up. I call this section more build because I want to intensify the energy. Then here's the drop. Here's where I increase the energy in the drop, and then like the second verse, I kind of pull back. But you know, having this kind of like having these markers here kind of helps keep me organized, and you know, I can quickly jump to different sections of the songs, and you know, so you can add those by right-clicking and saying Add Locator. But how you'll notice a lot of these sections are like this build-up, 8 measures long. This part of the drop, you know, 8 measures long. And I note that, okay, here I'm a quarter of the way through the drop, so I want to do a little something here. And then, you know, here I'm halfway through the drop. I like to call that keep going. And then, you know, here the end. So yeah, I'm really building in blocks of 8. The only thing that's throwing off this pattern is in this first part where I sample her, and I wanted like one extra measure of, you know, just her saying Rockstar or something like that. So this is like the one time I had sort of bend the rules of 8 to just add a little bit of extra time, and then other than that, it's like, you know, the same. So you know, first tip, use the locators to help keep you structured and give yourself a sense of a plan that you're going to build on. So yeah, I'm going to bring in, and you can see too here, I have my reference tracks. I used Miracle by Calvin Harris and Ellie Goulding as my reference. So it had that sort of like piano-driven dream house kind of sound I was going for. And I was like, okay, I want to make sure my levels match what Calvin Harris does, because he probably knows a thing or two about music. Yeah, so let me bring in rock, like the song itself, because it's gonna, like, this might be pretty hard on my CPU, especially with all the other stuff I'm doing. So let me really final. Yeah, so let me bring this in. Okay.
Where do you get your reference songs from?
I actually played Miracle in a DJ set, so I had this. I bought it from Beatport. But you know, one other thing to notice too is like, you know, their track has this like fat sausage characteristic in the drop. You know, that's what you get if you mix your track well and you know, master it hot. And I also have like, you know, quite dense waveform too. So that's another visual cue I can use when I'm mastering to be like, okay, I did make this loud enough. You know, it's competitive with what the pros are doing. You know, if I zoom in here, I can be like, okay, yeah, waveforms are pretty dense. I mean, even like they're doing a little better than I am, but you know, still competitive. There's let's see, I'm gonna solo this. I'm gonna drag this over here. Make sure I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have any mastering on the main, so it should sound exactly like I have it. But there's, you know, if you really want to be sure, there's a plugin called Julian Loudness Meter that can tell you this LUFS value that I mentioned last time, I think. So you get a numerical value that you can then compare to commercial tracks and see if you need to like turn up the limiter or mix things a little bit better so they're not fighting for space as much. But this can be a, you know, objective tool you can use. All right, so I'm gonna basically like play through this in sections so you can hear how I like how I structured it, how I build things up over time, and then we can, like, any details you want to go into, we can, you know, look at the specific tracks that I use to put those, to arrange those sounds. And actually, to be honest, it's not that many tracks. Like, compared to some of the Ableton projects I've seen, this is relatively modest. But you can see how I've got, like, you know, things pretty well organized, right? You know, a group for drums, a group for the vocals. This is kind of like background effects that I want to, you know, make sure that the kick drum cuts into. This is a piano that's outside that group because it's also like a lead element, so it needs to ring out. I don't want it to get chopped up by the compressor too much. And then just some like other random sound effects that I probably threw in at the last minute and didn't feel the need to organize them much. But yeah, so I'll start by playing the intro. Maybe maybe I'll play the intro, maybe not. Let's see. I feel like I'm soloing this. Also, let's bring this back to 0. There we go. Okay.
See, if I was a guy and I was sitting here with a cigarette in my hand, grabbing my crotch and talking about how I make music because I love fast cars and fucking girls, you'd call me a rock star. But when I do it in my music and in my videos, because I'm a female, because I make pop music, you are judgmental and you say that it is distracting. I'm just a rock star.
All right, so that's the intro. So a couple things to point out. In the beginning, this first 8 bars, I bring in like this downer sound, I bring in like the bass line, and that's it, just 2 elements. I kind of think of the riser as being like you're striking a match at night or in a cave, and it's sort of like starting to illuminate your surroundings. And I just have the bass line going, so that's like enough of a sort of primordial soup to set the stage for what else is to come. And I also have this like vinyl crackling static sort of element, and that's like extra texture to sort of fill in the mid-range of the between the bass and the like downer sound. So just
Which rockstar is this?
This is my song called Rockstar.
Oh, it's original.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on my Spotify. Or YouTube Music or Apple Music or anywhere else you get your songs. I think it's my best track I've ever produced, but it's not my most popular one, so go figure. And then here, like no words yet, just kind of like starting to set the vibe, and then I use the reverse reverb to bring in Lady Gaga's voice, and I have this like this section of speech that I want her, that I have her say completely from start to finish. So that like kind of establishes the thematic material that I'm working with. So later when I start chopping it up, the listener's already oriented. They're like, okay, I know what the song's about. It's about Lady Gaga being badass. And I think I also start bringing in like that second element, this like do 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 kind of like arpeggiated element in there. So I'm adding a little bit more energy. I'm adding a little bit more interesting elements to listen to. And then like halfway through, there's this little like break before she starts saying the second half of her speech. So I use another reverse reverb sound to kind of fill in that space. So that's like an easy, we've talked about reverse reverb in a previous lecture, but that's like a really useful technique for filling in, gaps.
What's the effects that you put on the audio itself?
On the audio, whose audio?
On Lady Gaga's
Yeah.
audio sample?
Yeah, so for her, I think I just have some delay. Let's see.
You see, if I was a guy and I was sitting here with a cigarette in my hand, grabbing my crotch and talking about how I make music because I...
Yeah, so I cut out the low frequencies in her voice because I don't want any mud from her voice. So I think it looks like I also have a audio repair utility to like de-ess and de-noise her voice. Like, so a lot of times when you're speaking into a mic, the kind of sibilant sounds will be really loud or they'll like stand out. So you use what's called a de-esser, which basically like, it's like a multiband compressor that targets the region where the sibilant sounds are coming through, and it like kicks in when it hears those frequencies and it lowers the voice. And yeah, I guess I looks like I put a little bit of saturation and drive on her voice to give it more power, and then the delay and the reverb are to give it this sort of epic spaciousness. Because originally, she's just on like a TV show, so in a studio, so there's no like sense of epicness. But the delay and reverb really make her sound like she's in a stadium.
Where's it from?
It's from this interview.
Wait, so like, have you made royalties from streaming this?
That's a good question. So I would argue it's fair use because it's transformative. My practical advice here is that if you're sampling from a different medium, the automated content ID type of filters are going to have a really hard time picking that up. Like, for instance, I also have a song where I sample Eric Andre, and that one has stayed up. Now, would I want to go to court with Lady Gaga and her lawyers? Certainly not. But, I would argue that it's transformative, fair use.
How does transformative mean?
In the context of in copyright law, it's you're using the copyrighted material in like you're changing it so much that it doesn't even resemble the original purpose. Like I'm not just taking Poker Face and then claiming it to be my song. I'm like taking some speech that she did in a completely different medium. She probably doesn't even own the rights. It's probably would be the television that owns the rights to the original recording. But this says a work must be fundamentally different and new. Again, I've not actually gone to court over this, so take this with a grain of salt. But you, at the very least, will not get your music taken down automatically if you're sampling from like a movie or a TV show or a social media video. And as to have I earned any money off of this, I probably not. Maybe I've earned like a couple pennies on Spotify at best. So, yeah, I don't think I've done anything that would harm Lady Gaga to enough a degree that a court would side with me. But again, I honestly don't know. But you're also the first person to ask me that question. So. But yeah, I think it's, for me, I want to just get my music out there, and I'm not trying to make a bunch of money off of it. There are definitely services that will help you clear samples, find the rights to it. And then there's mechanical royalties. So any song that is copyrighted, you have the right to cover it for a fee. Like they can't prevent, the original artist can't prevent you from doing a cover of it. So that's why you often hear a lot of covers of like popular songs, because you're allowed to cover songs. You have to pay, but it's a set rate. Now, if you want to directly sample the exact audio that they have, there's no rules about that. Or rather, you're not allowed to by default, but they can charge anything they want. They can just refuse to give you the rights to use that sample. But that's if you want to use the actual audio itself. But if you just want to cover a song, you can do that. You just have to pay what are called mechanical royalties to do that. So yeah, if I was trying to break out, maybe I would try to do covers of like EDM covers of popular songs or something. Cool. Let's see. All right, just checking. I'm just checking for questions. Oh. Tim Licker goes the last time. It sounds like the main sense from Fractal by Tim Licker. Okay, I'll have to check out. I need to. I'll keep that in mind. And I'll check out Fractal by Tim Licker. Cool. All right, so I'll start over from the intro, and then I'll let it play up to the build. So here we go. Where is it? Here we go.
See, if I was a guy, and I was sitting here with a cigarette in my hand, grabbing my crotch and talking about how I make music because I love fast cars and fucking girls, you'd call me a rock star. But when I do it in my music and in my videos, because I'm a female, because I make pop music, you are judgmental, and you say that it is distracting. I'm just a rock star. I'm just a rock star.
All right. So we got to the end of the verse. So she's kind of like, said her piece. Now I want to start building it up. So when the drop hits, it's like really impactful. So, first element I had this like 4 on the floor kick drum, because that's going to be, that's going to be what's driving the drums in the drop. But I have the low pass filter on it so that it's like kind of subdued. And over the course of this build up, I'm gradually opening up the filter to add more and more energy into it.
What is low pass? Is that where you move the lows, or where you keep just the lows?
Low pass is when you let the lows pass through, so it gets rid of the highs. Same thing with a high pass; it lets the highs pass through. Yeah, like yes, that is an automation. So if we go to the drums, we go to the kick. We look at automation. Actually, I think I might have it on here. Oh yeah, looks like, oh yeah, okay. So here I'm using an EQ as my low pass filter. So over time this will open up and add more energy into the track. You also probably heard the piano. So I have Lady Gaga's voice, right? That's like my A theme, and I want something contrasting to Lady Gaga to like, so they can kind of have a conversation with each other, and that's the interplay that I'm using that will define the trajectory of this track. It would be sort of like Lady Gaga versus the piano or alongside the piano, but it's like a nice contrast. So I have like Lady Gaga speaking, a human speaking, versus an instrument playing notes. That's a really powerful contrast, right? Like her speaking has no sort of like pitch characteristics, but the piano has a lot of pitch characteristics. Her voice is a natural, organic human voice. The piano is more like a mechanical instrument. So a lot of nice contrast there that drives the song forward. So I have the piano come in. It plays a melody. It's only playing a single note, and I think I even have it filtered a little bit on the highs. So then when the drop comes in, I start playing it in octaves. So that will add more energy, more hype to a piano sound, which is appropriate for the drop where I need more energy.
How did you do the whooshing in this section?
The whooshing is, you're talking about the
yeah.
Right? Okay, so that's a sample. Yeah, that's just like a sample. I probably got this off of Splice. But one thing to note here is like, so in the beginning, right, it's just, and then here in the build-up, I play the exact same sample, but now it's sidechained to the kick. So I'm reusing some material here, but I've given a little twist and helped it like fit in with the mix better, because like the kick drum is now starting to chop it up and give it a little bit of bounce. So
it's the same like delay reverb sidechain to let the kick come through clearer.
Yeah, well this whole group has a compressor on it that the kick is coming into. So everything I put in this group, the background TV static Foley sounds.
But the main point is like let the kick come through clear.
Yeah, we want to make space for the kick to come through, because otherwise, you've got this like big transient and like additional stuff that's on top, and it'll get very muddy and blurry. And also the bounce kind of adds a nice rhythm to the background sounds too. So it's not just like it's
like best practice to like sidechain the kick for that reason.
I aggressively sidechain a lot of stuff to the kick. Like pretty much everything in the song is sidechained except the piano. Like I really wanted the piano to kind of cut through, but even even leads can be sidechained to the kick and it'll be fine. But yeah, I'd say best practice is to sidechain as much stuff to the kick as you possibly can. But yeah, so the point of reusing the sound is to like continue establishing a cohesive, coherent, consistent world. This sound lives in that world. So here it is again, but with a little twist. My rule of thumb is I like to try to use a sound at least 2 or 3 times in a track to kind of establish it as a key character. If that makes sense. Because you don't want to just be like pulling every random sound you have in your library and throwing it into a track. Like part of there's like a curatorial aspect to producing a track where you're choosing a limited set of elements that play well together and using those in different ways. Let's see what else. So we still have the same bass going. We have the that same arpeggio going. I think I added in some extra chords to give it some more power in the build-up. You'll notice too, like the kick drum starts speeding up too. 4 on the floor to start, and then it starts doing 8th notes. That's also when I bring in the snare to add another element of building up. There's this white noise riser that gives additional lift. And then one last trick I do to make the drop have even more punch is I basically I automate the volume of the entire track to go down a little bit right before the drop. So that way, and you hardly even notice it because there's like so much other stuff going on. But then when the drop comes in, it's like real impactful. And then just have Lady Gaga, saying "I'm just a rock star," reinforcing the theme of the song, rock star, rock star, rock star. Say one thing 100 times in your track. That's the way to get your message across. I fear not the man who has said 100 things one time, but one thing 100 times. Let me play from the build up again, and then we'll go into the drop.
Are all the drums, piano, snares, kicks, are those all MIDI?
Let's see. The kick drum is not. It's an audio sample that the kick drum was pretty simple, so I didn't feel the need to MIDIfy it. Snare is MIDI. This riser is an audio sample. The piano is MIDI. So you can save CPU by freezing or you can bounce the track or freeze it and turn it into audio. So that can save you some CPU.
Is that also how, if you're on the Ableton Lite version and you only have 8 things to work with, how you would consolidate is like group a bunch of them into a thing and make it an audio once you've decided you're done?
Yeah, you would keep, let's see, it doesn't look like you can bounce a group, which is kind of annoying. Let's see. Yeah, but you could, so in the olden days, if you have like a 4-track tape recorder, you'd like record this one and this one and this one, and then you'd like bounce them to this free track, and then you could do, then you could record on this one and this one, and then bounce this group to this track, and then you basically keep doing that over and over again. So let's see. I guess the way you could do it. Let's see what happens. Well, there's a function called resampling. So you can change the input on a track to be resampling, and then it will record whatever is coming out of Ableton. So that's another way you could do it. But yeah, basically you have to keep bouncing groups of the tracks down, and you'll end up losing some information, and eventually you'll be like, oh, I'm just going to upgrade to the next version. But yeah. Yeah, EQ8 is really nice. Also does not come with it. I think you need Ableton Standard to get it. But you can get Kilohertz has a free EQ that, not slice EQ, the 3-band EQ that is at least visual. So I feel like that's probably the most helpful aspect of it. So yeah, Kilohertz has and I linked all the free Kilohertz plugins at some point. Let me find those again. Oh, free Kilohertz. Yeah, so get the Kilohertz essentials. Okay, so I think that's everything I wanted to cover in the build-up. So let's keep going with this first drop. I'll start about halfway through.
I'm just a rock star. I make music because I love fast.
Okay, so here I'm going all out. I have, pretty standard kick, hi-hat, kick and hi-hat pattern. I've increased the power of the melody by adding in this additional octave on top to make it brighter. I added in this choir sound in the background to give it more. Oh yeah, that's another MIDI. And I think this might be the Jacob Collier. If it loads. And of course, this is also sidechain. Oh no, this is just the contact choir.
What does it sound like?
It sounds like this.
But just play like notes, like notes as you go.
Yeah, these are just the chords in the song. It's like F, C, B flat, I think. So yeah, so that choir sound adds in. It's like more filler to bring in, or it enriches the overall tone. But it's pretty subtle in the background. But it's with these pad type of sounds, they don't need to be really loud. They just need to be there. And then your mastering chain, the limiter at the end, will kind of, those sort of background sounds will sort of whoosh in to fill in the space and give you extra volume where needed and help keep your luffs up. Right, and then I had this sort of this crash cymbal plus this downer sound to release some of that tension that I built up at the beginning of the drop. In the second half of the drop, I need to intensify things somehow. So I added this clap. Right, first of all, I use the clap as a little fill. So I pull the kick out and I go, clap, clap, clap. So that can be a nice way to introduce a new element. Like, imagine you're watching a musical or a play or something. Usually a new character will enter the scene with a flourish, and then they will take up their role. So the clap here, it enters with a little flourish, which also helps create a little turnaround at the end of this first 8 bars. And then it's doing claps on the 2s and the 4s, and I have some faster hi-hat pattern going now. So that also helps add energy. And then I also have this guitar sample that kind of chugs along and also adds more mid-range energy into the mix. So
can you play just the guitars?
Yeah. So just the guitars. This is an audio sample. It's an audio sample that I think I warped. Yeah.
Did you ever change the key or?
The original. So this is the original. It's originally an F, and then I got this. Or no, I think I think it was doing some chord progression. And then I snipped out the individual chords from it, transposed them as needed. Like, see this B flat, looks like I had an F and a C. So I needed to get a B flat. So I transposed the C down 2 half steps to get to a B flat.
How do you do that?
If you turn on warp, and then this is your transpose down here. And you know, it kind of doesn't matter that it's sort of jumping around all over the place. Like it went da 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 da. Because again, this is just background energy. It's more about the transient. And again, I have the kick side chain to this too, so that keeps it clear. You know, keeps the pounding backbone of the track like on its own express lane. But it also, you know, it layers it. Like here's all, what all the different ambiences sound like together, or like everything that's not the kick. Okay, there's that synth let's see, it's I think it's this one. I think this was another loop we got from God knows where. I guess probably the same, looks like the same place as the art.
Oh, this is
What?
You just took a
Yeah, this was a loop that my collaborator brought. Like he found it on Splice and was like, you know, hey, maybe we could use this. And it fit nicely with the bass line too.
And did you program the chords on this, or just?
No, we started with the chords. So this was, this is like an example of leveraging the musical creativity of someone else in the industry. Like they had already come up with the chords basically. And I was like, okay, let me figure them out. Okay, I know it's F, C, B flat, C, D minor. Okay, now I can use that to... Right, that's how I can then program this choir to do F, C, B flat, C, D minor. And then that also told me like, okay, this is how I need to warp the guitars so that they're also playing the same key. How would you do that if you don't know music theory? Yeah, you'd have to guess and check. But at least for a lot of these, the chord, it's not like complicated jazz chords. And you can eventually figure it out. So yeah.
There's no like copyright on the chord sets, right?
No, not on a sequence of chords, certainly not. And then these samples are, you know, I'm fully licensed to use them because I paid for them. Anything else? Oh yeah, and then at the end, you know, I do a little low pass filter on the background elements and like the drums to kind of like bring down the energy a little bit going into this next section, because you know I'm at the drop, I'm at like the fever pitch in terms of energy thus far in the track, so I need to, you know, gracefully step back. So I pull the kick out, take out some of the highs, and then that, you know, brings the energy down. So now I can, and I've also been playing the piano for a while, so I need to take that out and probably bring Lady Gaga back, which is what I do here. So let's keep going into the next verse. Except now Lady Gaga is going to be more chopped up. I'm like extracting I'm like reinforcing I'm presenting that thematic material in a slightly different way, so it sounds fresh, but it also helps reinforce the message of the song. So let's keep it pushing. here in the second verse, I dial the energy way back. The bass line, it's no longer doing this dun 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 thing. It's just playing like low, single long held notes. I've got this really simple pad in the background. Actually, the same one that I showed y'all how to program in the music theory session. So, very simple sort of sound. And just the kick drum, also filtered, so with the highs taken out. So I've really kind of brought the energy down and smooth things out, and then I take some pieces of Lady Gaga's voice, again with like a long delay effect.
So, did you change the delay on some from like sometimes it was longer and you made them go a little faster?
Yeah, I think in this I think I have a different. Is it here? Here I have a 8-note delay. Actually, I honestly don't know what time division these numbers correspond to exactly, but initially I have this on like 2, so I think the delays are shorter and more dense. Whereas here in the second section, I have more time to fill out, so I want the delays to be longer in time, so they take up more space. And in terms of it being a lead element, it's actually pretty sparse, right? It's just like her saying a few words, and then the delay is filling out the rest of the space. So I've just come from this really dense drop where there's a lot going on, and now I want to like give the listener a break, take a step back, let the song breathe a little bit, and also do play Lady Gaga instead of the piano. So again, creating that contrast, and so that part is 8 bars long, and then now in the second half, I need to take the energy up a notch. So how do I do that? 2 main ways here are I introduce this ride cymbal on top. So I have now this, which I haven't done yet. So this is like a fresh element.
It's crazy that this AC is turning on.
Yeah, it's getting colder. But we'll be done here in 10 minutes or so. Okay, so I've played this verse part for like 8 measures. Now I need to amplify the energy somehow. So I had this ride cymbal on top, on every quarter note. It's a new drum element, but it's okay to add new elements later in the track. It's kind of like how in a book, new characters are introduced later. And then I also add this rolling bass line. So it's before the bass line is just like long held notes. Now it's like rolling and plucky and has more energy to it. Also, something to note is I change up the chord progression here. So pretty much up until this point, we've had the same like F, C, B flat, C, D minor chord progression. But I want to add a little variation. So I forget which chords exactly I chose here, but I basically change the chord progression a little bit, still in the same key, but this also helps give it a slightly different vibe. And now I have, the original chord progression and this new one, and that becomes another point of contrast between her and the songs. And I like to, for simplicity, I like to think of these contrasting elements in pairs, rather than, trying to have a whole bunch of different ones. Sorry, I don't know if that explanation makes sense, but in any case, I introduced some new interesting spice to the track by changing the chord progression slightly. Same key, just a different chord progression. And I'm not using, and so that's part of why I'm not using any of the samples I've previously been using, because they're not going to follow the chord progression. I don't want to have to edit them that much.
We use different columns for different chords here. Is that okay?
Did I? Oh. Yeah, I think so. Like here I wanted to balance I wanted to make the lowest notes in the chord a little bit quieter than the highest so that it's less bassy. it's more, because I already had the bass covered by like, well, the bass.
Yeah.
So I want my chords to like be more top heavy. And also that kind of helps create a little bit more of a counter melody in the chords themselves too. That adds some interest to the track. Yeah, and then so once I add in the ride and the rolling bass line, now that's adds more energy, and I start to open up the filter on the pad as well, so it gets brighter and louder. I add a pitch automation on the ride so that it has a bit of uplift as well. Where is that thing? I thought I did. Maybe I do it on the. Oh yeah, I use this frequency shifter to make the ride also go up in pitch, which I remember hearing that used at Burning Man the first time I heard that idea. I was like, oh wait, you can just pitch bend the ride cymbal? Okay, I'll do that now. So I'll be listening to stuff. And then I put like, a little reverse cymbal. And then for the super saws section, I take out all the drums. The drums become more sparse. I just have like, the kick and the crash to sort of emphasize the chord changes. And I let the super saws really just fill out the space. Halfway through, I add this lead element on top to, further amplify the energy of this little section. And it's just using the same chords as in the verse. It's just playing them with a louder, more intense sound. So that kind of brings things to a peak at this point in the track halfway through. So now I kind of need to, I need to get to the second drop. And I also need to kind of bring the energy down a little bit. So that's why I bring, as you'll hear in the second buildup, I use the the downer from the beginning, which, the listener's already heard twice now. So it's like a familiar element to them. So it like feels coherent and consistent. So let's play. I'll start from the super saws section.
I'm just a rock star.
All right, quick note on that. So this is the second buildup. I need it to be more intense. So I just go straight into the like 16th note snare roll. So it's like already kind of more intense than the first buildup. It's more chill. And also at this point, I'm like really deep in the song. So I don't like. I really just want to drive home the main idea of the song, which is Rockstar. So I just have Lady Gaga saying Rockstar over and over and over again, also as part of the build-up, with a filter opening up, so it rises in energy. I reuse that same downer sound effect again. I also take that chord loop that the like pad sound, and I turn and the ARP, and I turn it into like a B flat chord and then a C chord. So it's like hanging on one chord, increasing the tension, moving to the next chord for half the time, increasing the tension. So I'm like, instead of just using the loop as it is, I'm like chopping it up further, but in service of creating more tension. So that sounds like this. Yes. So I needed it to, this is a pad sound, so it's like already kind of formless and in the background. So whether you're playing it forward or backward, it doesn't, can't really hear it that well. But I needed to get more time. I wanted to fill it out. Yeah, so it's literally just, I mean, good eye there. Yeah, I literally just reversed it. And it also kind of adds this sort of like down up swell, which could be kind of nice. Let me check here. Yeah, this is an automation. Let's see, on the comps. I think, yeah, so I have, you know. Yeah, I like to use the EQ a lot for filtering because I can visually see what's going on. Just the built-in auto filter doesn't have that visualizer, so I can't get things as precise as I want. Yeah, so rock star, rock star, rock star, rock star. I'm just a rock star. Driving home the point of the song. And then a classic thing that people do for the second drop is you have a kind of like fake out. So instead of just dropping directly back into the drop, you hold back in a certain way. The way I did it here is I just have the piano melody come in, and I think I have the choir playing, and then more importantly, I have this car engine revving sound, which my collaborator laughed at a lot when I dropped that in. But it's like Rockstar. It's like, oh, she's on a motorcycle. It's badass, and it's a nice, it's thematically aligned with the rest of the song. So I'm not just putting in some arbitrary sound. It's like, oh, it helps, reinforce the world I'm constructing. I don't think I told y'all how to program this sound, but this sub drop kind of sound is super useful. It helps release the tension. It sounds like this. You can throw that in pretty much anywhere you need to release some tension or kind of clear the air, something like that. It's really easy sound to program. But let's keep it going. We've got only a few minutes. I think I'll let this play out to the end this time. But this drop is, so now we're in the second drop. So this is twice as long as the first drop. At this point, we've really earned it. This is the audience's last chance to live in this world. So it's okay to make things extra long. They're bought into our vision of the world. And you'll hear how I finally bring Lady Gaga and the piano together, and I bring in all the other elements I've used to completely max out the energy, but I dole it out in little drips building up over the course of these 32 measures. So let's hear what that sounds like.
I'm just a rock star. Car
Oh shit! How long? How long was I muted? Was I muted to that entire explanation? Dang. Okay. Well, like I said, the outro, you know, it's just there to bring things to a conclusion, like a credits sequence for a movie. You know, doesn't have to do a whole lot. Just gradually pulls different elements out. So I was I was not. Oh man. Okay. Well, let me just run through that again. In the second drop, it's twice as long as the first drop because it's later in the song. I've earned the right to, play out the drop for longer because the audience has bought in. So I started off with the rolling bass line from the second verse, which is more high energy than the plucking bass line I had in the first verse, or first drop rather. And I have the guitars going already, and basically all the elements that I need to make it more energetic than the first drop. Then in the second half, I bring in Lady Gaga to be alongside the piano, so they're finally reunited and they have the most energy, or they're combining their energies together to really maximize the energetic space in the second half of the drop. And I also bring in that ride cymbal again, and I bring in the clap so that it's also adding more energy. For this last build up part to take us home, I pull the kick drum out so that it's just, and I add in the snare roll build also from earlier in the track to create a sense of familiarity. And then when I bring the kick drum back in for this last part of the build up, it's playing at twice the speed, so it's more powerful and epic. And I filter out the low end from the track so that when the outro starts, it lands there emphatically. Outro is just the rolling bass line staying on one note. I bring in a couple elements from earlier in the track, like the Lady Gaga reverse reverb, so there's a sense of familiarity. And at this point, I don't want to have to come up with new material. I just want to be able to reuse stuff I already have close at hand, so I can just bring that in. So it's both the artistic choice to reuse elements and a practical choice. So you're not constantly having to grab new stuff from your library. And then just gradually remove drums from the outro, so the energy gradually comes to a conclusion. Again, filter out the bass, and then I drop a cymbal at the very end so that it brings the song to conclusion. So, apologize once again for being muted. I will learn one of these days. But I hope that gives you all some ideas for how you would structure an entire track, how you would add and remove energy to create a flow in a track, how you would kind of establish a theme for your track so people know what it's about, or it has a consistent mood and message to it. And I hope it was useful. I can try to send this project out. It's kind of big, and there's a lot of synths that y'all might not have. So I don't know how useful it would be necessarily, but I hope that was useful in terms of songwriting. So
how long did you spend on this?
That's a good question. I feel like we actually put this one together pretty quickly. I've spent there have been some songs where I started working on it, and then 2 years later I finished it. This one, I think probably a couple months. I was working on it somewhat intermittently. We did 1 or 2 writing sessions in person. We got something cooking, and then I would continue working on it on my own. And then I think I showed it to him one more time, and we did, I got some more feedback from him, and then I kind of kept going and building out the rest of it myself. I want to say a couple months, but it wasn't I was working on it 8 hours a day for those months. And I think in general, with tracks, you want to try to keep your momentum up as you're building it, and it can be very easy to just lose the fire, and then you end up with a half-finished track. which is fine because then you can always resuscitate it later or pull in elements from that track into a new one. And of course, you don't have to like blast the whole song in a single session. And it can be very helpful to give yourself some downtime between sessions, so that it sounds fresh each time. Like one trap you can fall into is you like make half a song and then you just like listen to it on repeat 100 times, and then you're like bored of it. And when you go into the studio, you're like, I don't know what sounds good anymore because I'm too familiar with the track. So you have to like maintain some kind of, seems helpful to me at least, to maintain some kind of distance from the track.
And like,
especially when you get into mastering and mixing it then.
What? This one, did you just like have the, like, how did the idea and like iteration, did you have like most of the tracks in your head already, or did you like hear the interview and you're like, okay, let's build something around this?
Yeah, so I think the way it started was we had that bass line loop, we had the arpeggio loop, and we had Lady Gaga's speech. So I like put those at the beginning, and then I dropped Lady Gaga's speech on top, aligned it so it would be 8 measures long. And then I definitely remember I sort of just like improv that piano melody. I was like, all right, I need to play something that sounds good. I think it was probably something like da 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 da, and then I played it on the piano. So I had that, and I just kind of like, I didn't spend too much time trying to optimize the piano melody. I was like, okay, this works. This is good enough.
Yeah. So you like basically built it around like the like arpeggio thing you found somewhere, and that like set the key, and then you like built around it basically.
Yeah, starting from the vibe that arpeggio and bass line created, kind of helped set the mood, and then Lady Gaga's speech gave it the sort of, that's like the main idea that we're producing into a track. Like you could imagine making a music video based on that, or like you could imagine, I don't know, writing a short story based on that interview. That'd be the same production process. We're just turning it into a different medium. Here we're producing that key idea into a song. So I knew, I knew I wanted to make it like a house kind of track with a 4 on the floor beat, so that also helped constrain the creative possibilities there. Like, okay, I know I'm gonna want to like play this melody over a 4 floor beat, and I have, now that I have this arpeggio and this bass line, I can, add some additional elements to give it more energy. I think I remember the second verse being a bit more challenging. It was like, okay, what exactly do we want to do here? Like, we need to pick some elements of Lady Gaga's speech that make sense together and are starting to sort of like refine, extract, purify the central key idea of the song. And so I think I probably played around with different chord progressions. I think too, I probably like, one thing I like to do is if I make the first drop, then I'll copy it over onto the second drop, and I'll put, like some amount of time in between. I'll be like, okay, I need to fill out this much time, so like, what can I do? All right, let me start playing around with stuff that could work. But there's definitely this element of like trying, like even for me, there's this element of like trying several different things and seeing what works, or seeing what feels inspired, or what moves the track forward. And to help with that, sometimes you need to make space for it, or giving yourself this kind of structure can also help. Because it's like, okay, I know this drop's going to be 16 bars long, so I want to make the first 8 bars of that at some level of energy, and then I need to add some more energy for the second half, so that kind of guides me in a certain direction. I know I'm going to want to have some kind of fake out here, or I know I'm going to need to have a couple different buildups. So the more like structural guideposts and breadcrumbs you can leave for yourself, then they can start becoming more like color by numbers, which is just easier than trying to, draw a picture from scratch, or out of whole cloth or whatever. And also, real artistship. So getting to the end of a song, even if it's not perfect, is, I think, the most important thing. So I like to try to lay out as much of the song as possible and then go in and refine the individual pieces. And that also helps you keep it simple because like you don't want to spend all your energy like making sure this one 8-bar section is absolutely perfect and exactly how you want to sound, because then you don't have any gas left for like the rest of the track. And the audience might not even care. Like you can spend hours tweaking like a knob on a synth and you'll hear it, but it won't really make any difference to the audience. Whereas, having a complete track will, and then you can notice, oh, this part's getting repetitive. I need to add a little bit of variation here to keep it interesting to me. So if you, I don't know if you remember when we had really slow internet, like images would kind of progressively render. They'd look really blurry at first, and then they'd start to like fill in and become more high res. That's kind of the approach I take here. Like make it really, get the basic elements in place, even if they're repetitive, even if it's not the final sound, and then gradually like refine each piece as you listen to it and you're like, oh man, this part's really boring. I need to add some riz here. Or, this, I don't like this lead sound now that I've heard it a few times. Let me change it up, start adding some layers. So yeah, that's my approach too. Plus too, if you get like, well, this is another place where like Suno can be helpful because you can give it like a simple idea. It can give you a few different possible arrangements, and then you can import that structure back into your track. Be like, oh, okay, I'll kind of take some structural cues from it, and I'll make my own version of what it is kind of suggesting to me.
When you say paint by numbers, you mean like the markings you have, or just like the groupings you have on the right?
Yeah, kind of like certainly the section locators that I put up here. Like, okay, I know my first drop is going to be 16 bars, so let me fill that in with material. Okay, I know my second verse is going to be 16 bars. Let me fill that in with material. Okay, I know I need to intensify it here at the halfway point. Okay, what can I do to intensify it? Ride cymbal, rolling bass line. Like the more you can, like, when someone's drawing something or sketching, they'll create a sketch that's pretty loose, but has like, blocks out the key main elements, and then they'll go in and like start refining different pieces of it. But they have those large, broad strokes in place to guide them, and so everything's positioned nicely in general. So then when you go in to fill in the details, you already have the structure that you're working off of, so you don't have to constantly think about that again. And if you want to do something really avant-garde that doesn't follow the structure at all, then maybe that's when you can try to operate more by feel. But it makes it like the structure, the paint by numbers helps make it more playful because you don't need to think so much about the logic of how the track is laid out. You can be like, all right, I need to do something fun and cool here in this space. All right, let me try a bunch of stuff and play with it and find something that works. There's trance song instructions that only have a single drop, so that wouldn't work for this. But.
One challenge I had with one of the homeworks where it was like find a song you like and then mimic it.
Yeah.
It's like there was a piano lead that I liked, and I was like, oh yeah, I could take some of the chords, but then I don't know music well enough to know the notes, and then ChatGPT won't tell you because it's copyrighted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, is there a way, like, do people use Grok, or what are people using to, like, if in a situation like that, where it's like, oh, I like some parts of this piano in the song, but I don't know how to know what it is.
Yeah.
Actually, just Google it or look for tabs.
Okay.
There's like MIDIs that you can download for some songs.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's available for like popular songs, like like Poker Face, or like, I don't know, like Rufus the Soul songs. But then I was like trying to look up some like Goldfish songs, and like I think that's a little more like slightly more niche, and I couldn't quite find that.
Yeah, you could try also using like you can use like a stem splitter, and then hopefully it'll pull out the piano into its own track, and then you can do the you can pull it into Ableton and use that convert harmony to MIDI track, convert melody to MIDI track. That might work. The way I do it is I use my ear and the piano, and I gradually figure out what the notes are. I know it's not necessarily super accessible.
Do you actually just have audio or MIDI? You have the audio on it, or even to make a recording using you're literally a 11-year-old phone recording, playing it.
Oh yeah,
record it.
Was it just like a single melody you were trying to pull out, or was it?
I asked. I was like, oh, what are the piano chords on this? And then ChatGPT wouldn't give it to me, but maybe I also gave it the YouTube link with the song or something. It's says it's copyrighted. So.
Chords are tough, but yeah, at least with a melody, you could sing it into your phone, then pull that recording, put it into Ableton, and then do the convert melody to new MIDI track.
Okay.
So that's one way you can extract it. Chords are really tough though, because they're buried in the mix, and polyphonic transcription of audio is already difficult for algorithms and for humans for that matter. So yeah, I don't have a good solution there. Maybe the stem splitter can work. Yeah. This one doesn't seem to care as much about copyrighted audio. I think if you were to try to load a Goldfish track into Suno, it would complain about saying it's already copyrighted or something. I've gotten that before too, even on loops that there's no possible way they could be already in the system. But something about its matching, its content ID algorithm is like fuzzy matching or something. So, all right. So I'm sorry, we're way over time, but I hope that was helpful.
GB, send out your layout. Is it called the layout or the default setup that you have?
The template or
the template.
Yeah, I can do that.
I've been trying to make my own template, but kind of sucks.
Oh, Suno does melody conversion. Interesting. Yeah, I can send this out. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll see y'all on Wednesday.
And is there template?
Yeah. So what I want, I'd love for everyone to finish a track. Sometime by the end of Thanksgiving, let's say, so that we can then play them at the graduation party. I sent instructions in the previous email. It's between 100 and 150 beats per minute. One of these 4 keys. I'll also send another recap email out here. But I wanted to give people a little bit more time to work on the track, not just try to get it done tomorrow. But yeah, then ideally, I haven't yet managed to do this yet. But if at least 3 people submit a track, then I'll mix it together into a miniature DJ set, and then we'll play that at the grad party, which will be sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Thanks. What are you going over next week? Wednesday.
Wednesday is going to be about collaborating with other musicians. So we're going to play a little. Well, we're going to play a game.
Oh.
We're going to play Exquisite Corpse, but with audio.
What's Exquisite Corpse?
It was a game that the French surrealists played. You draw something on a piece of paper, fold it down, and then someone else draws.
So we're rotating Ableton basically, or?
Yeah, we're all gonna make 8 bars, 16 bars, and we'll export them and pass them to the next person, who will then build on it, and then maybe we'll do it one more round, and then we'll see what everyone produced.
On free laptop or everyone's laptop?
No. We'll export the stems and then share those files with the next person, and then we'll keep passing them along. Yeah.
Is this what we're doing on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So definitely bring your headphones, bring your laptops. We're going to be doing some live in-person production. Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, you're gonna make 8 or 16 bars, and then export the stems. The next person's gonna load those stems into their Ableton. They're gonna add 8, 16 bars or whatever. Then maybe we'll pass those to a third person, and then we'll see what we cooked up. Yeah. That's the final frontier of production. It's like actually working with other people.
Yeah.
So this is dipping our toes into those waters. Yeah.